Hey guys, I'm B-Man, and so we are, well, I am going through and redrawing the little Goblin Boy, as you can see. Um, you guys can thank Aoki, I think I said that right, but they had commented telling me that they suggest that I add some color, and so I went back and I somewhat recreated this little guy in order to make him better fit the subject, I guess. As you can see, made him standing on like a stool. I added like a sash or whatever to hold up his little like s- s- ox skin or whatever. I'm not really sure what I'd call that, but yeah, what he's wearing. And so then again, I do want to thank Cups Filled with Cups for the suggestion of making this goblin guy with long arms. And then I would like to thank once again Aoki for suggesting to add some color. So as we go through this, I'm just gonna quickly like re-sketch out the area just to make it a little more broad, so I know exactly where I want things to be. As you can see, um, gonna like map out the stool a bit, I guess. Have it just like add a little more shape and detail to it just before I go back in and add actual ink to it to like outline everything. See, I turned the opacity down. Then I realized I missed part of something. I missed the face. So I go back, look at the original's face, and I just like take reference and go back and forth for a moment just to get like the shape. I struggled with the eyes quite a bit and the eyebrows. Um, I'm not really sure if I liked what I ended up with in the end, but I did go through quite a few variations until I got something I somewhat liked. Um, if you see like the picture like swap sides every once in a while, I'm like checking to see if it's like somewhat even. Uh, in the end, the image won't be like completely like symmetrical or even. But see what I'm doing? I'm like switching sides to make it somewhat look so I can tell if it looks all right from an opposite perspective. So I'm now going back in, adding some ink. I'm gonna go right over the face like this, right there. Just kind of bring out some of those details, make his jaw and his face just a little sharper, make his ears just a little bit longer, just to like add to that quality, I guess. And as we go through this, my style of art is going to definitely change because I'm not 100% sure how I like my style in art. So as this goes through, this is both a learning opportunity for me to better my art and just become a overall better artist, and a way for me to just enjoy doing what I love and uh, draw and hopefully bring a smile to everyone's faces that sees this. So right here, I'm just gonna like darken his sash a little bit and then like redraw his body. And I realized that I want to add some like form to like how he looks. So I added like the chest area and his collarbone. I go back through and change up how his arms look slightly, add a little more shape to them, I guess, make them a little more rigid because when drawing arms, I kind of like having the muscles point out a little bit. So I just add that, add some extra detail lines just to give it just a little bit of that extra fine look, I guess. And uh, yes, do the legs look slightly off? In I'd say they do, but you also have to think he's leaning forward kind of with his arms, and then he's stretched back due to his short stature, and he's standing on that stool. So if you think about it, it looks all right. I struggled making his feet look good, so I just kind of threw in a little bit. Said, you know what, that looks all right, so I'm gonna leave it like that. And I'm gonna go back and fix I think our right, but his left foot a little bit. I just make his toes just a little bit longer, or his toenails, I guess, whichever one you prefer to call them. Adding some shape to the stool. I went for like a triangle bottom to hold it all together. So we get rid of that sketch scene. Here I am going in over the toes, just fix that a little bit, add a couple more lines. And now I'm gonna start out drawing on like the front layer of color and then realize I don't like that. So I'm gonna start on the mid ground so I can have a front in case I want to put stuff in front of the image, you know? And I'll like rotate back and forth just to make sure it looks alright. Look at him, just make sure the reference is alright. I'm just gonna cover most of him in this greenish color. Because when I think of a goblin, I think green, right? So we're just gonna add some color here. Yeah, I put like a line just to like figure out where I'm gonna stop. So in that midsection, I'm gonna switch to the back layer and color that in a slightly darker layer. So here I am just fixing some things up. His arms look way nicer than in the original, in my opinion. Sadly, you don't get those nice gruely fingers like before, but it's alright. It works. And so this time, instead of doing whatever I did for the first arm, I'm going to just like trace out the original arm, go to the paint bucket, and drop it. There's some little white lines. Just go back in, cover those up real fast. We're going to change the color up. I start out with this darker color for the sash, and I just realized I don't like it all that much. So I went in and did slightly lighter. Or did I do darker originally? I'm not sure. But I don't think I liked it, so I went back. Yeah, and I went back and changed it up a little bit. Then we add the ears. I think the ears turned out pretty nice. His teeth. I'm working on his teeth now. I wanted like a more yellowish color or yellowish tint. I just couldn't figure out something that I liked. So I went more of like a grayish tone, which I liked in the end, and just like added just a little bit of yellow. Alright, we're gonna go back over with the like a darker green, or no, we're working on the back now, so we're just gonna add darker green in right there. Just add a little bit of shadowing, some characteristics to it. Make him a little bit darker. Work on his feet and legs a little bit. Just gonna make sure the piece comes together really. Now the part where it's like his arms, I try and change that up a bit. Later I kind of go back and fix it. But for now it looks like that. And I'm going to go in with a slightly darker shade from the original and just shadow everything. Just add a little bit texture contrast to the original image and just kind of pull the piece together in my opinion. Gonna just work on that a bit. Let's see, where am I exactly? Oh, at this part I got a little bit of a conversation, I think, and I go back and continue with shading. Add a little bit of texture using just a little bit of the lines. I go back over this darker area and realize I don't really like it all that much, so I try and figure out some way to like pull it all together, add some contrast to it, you know, make it fit a bit better. After a couple of tries, I finally get it, but it looked a little odd originally, so I kind of just go back a couple times till I get it to something that I somewhat like. This is for his little kilt thingy, I guess. Try and make it look more like some sort of skin. So I do it lighter and then darken it up, kind of like to show it's somewhat folded for the straps. And we just add a little bit of shading to this. Then we go for a darker color just to get it all together. And then we work on that stool just to see how it looks, and then mess up a little bit. Luckily, I'm doing my art tablet, so I can go back. Uh, just gonna cover in that stool, try and pull the piece together, and we're gonna go straight from the stool to the finished project. So once the stool is done, you'll see that it looks fairly good, and then we'll get that final image. And here it is. What do you guys think? Did I do all right?